Okay, everyone, this is very exciting. I'm here for my first time. I'm going to give you my honest first impressions of Project Motor Racing. This is literally my first ever drive, and I've just booked a slot here at the Motor Racing booth at the Sim Racing Expo. No one is watching over me. You'll have a look behind me and see. Haven't been told to say anything or not say anything. Obviously, I'm not paid. And let's see what I find. I have no idea what to expect. When I first heard about Project Motor Racing, I thought it was going to be like an old school, like, not classic cars, but, like modern legends. And now I'm at the Nürburgring driving, I think, a Porsche GT3 or something. So let's see if I'm going to be able to drive. Okay. So first things first, looking at what we got here in terms of the graphics and the HUD, it's got a vibe to it, I can see, with like the gold and the blue. Graphically, it's running on a PC. It's probably a beastly PC from Giants. Kind of looks okay, not insane, I would say. Better than iRacing? Probably yes. So first thing I notice, I come out the pit and I have an engineer. So I wonder if having an engineer is going to be a big part of this sim. Again, the gold and blue vibe. At least it's got a vibe, you know? I will be honest, the frame rate is not incredible, but that may be because they're recording on OBS. So I'll give them benefit of doubt. And this is a very different sim, I can tell you already, to other sims I've been driving this weekend. It feels like it's going to be very sensitive on the tyres. Lots of locking up and tyre noises. This is an interesting driving model. Stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed as well, because this is different for sure. Have a listen to the tyre noises. The mid-corner is very different. Again, lateral sliding. Whee. Nice sounds. That was nice. Okay, I'm getting it. I'm going to be able to formulate this for you. Let's see what happens here. Oh, interesting. Okay. So my first thoughts are with the sim, seems to be all about the tyre slip when you're loading the tyres. It seems to be, at least in these settings, quite, and let me check what I've got, ABS on 8, but it seems to be quite easy to overload the tyres and have that tyre squeal. Now, in something like Gran Turismo, why am I talking about Gran Turismo? Well, this is coming out on console, so I think it's a competitor to Gran Turismo. I feel like in Gran Turismo, it's very difficult to get the tyres out of their window there. But here, already, you can feel that sliding. I would say a little bit more like ACC than anything else. More like ACC than AC Evo. Playing with the headphones off now, so in fact, you might have better sound than me. Yeah, visually, it's got a bit of a swagger. You can see there, just as I get on the power, there's a nice bit of controllable oversteer. There's a big sensation with the Horizon. Again, there might be subtle cues that they've done to let you know about that oversteer when you get on the power. Like here, if I get on the power, you can see that the front just keeps rotating. And again, that might be because this seems to be a sim, a game. And this is going to be quite hardcore in these settings in console, I would say. My hunch is already, see the way that really kicked in? It's actually a bit easier for me to do this without the audio, because I can just look at the visual cues and check what I'm saying. So again, slamming down here, 2 ways you can do this corner. And obviously tyre, you'd expect tyre management and heating up tyres and everything. The pressures, I've got temperatures, I've got pressures, I've got compound information. They're very serious about the tyres here. Kind of crazy that Gran Turismo doesn't give you tyre temperatures. Maybe that'll come in the Spec 3 update. See that back end really kicking around. I've been driving Rennsport at this expo as part of some Creator Cup thing where I race against Daniel Morad and Jan Mardenborough. And that was a very different sim again to drive. There's an interesting moment that force feedback's giving me when I'm unloading the tyres. The force feedback goes quite light on this Fanatec. For me, it's quite an unusual sensation. Again, you never know really at expos like how wheels and stuff are set up, or that's not the right way to put it. Wheels and stuff, are going to be set up in lots of different ways, often to be as accessible as possible, not necessarily how you set it up at home. Again, as I said here, the wheel's going to go light now. Really goes light. So heavy, heavy, heavy force feedback, then light force feedback. So yeah, I'm trying to feel like the... In fact, let me try and do... Yeah, so that's my ABS, you can see. Doesn't seem to be set... Oh, okay. So let's really lower that ABS maybe. I can either have... Oh, there we go, down. Let's put it on 3. And this is a cup car, it's worth saying. Whoa! And you can see that how hot my rear tyres are, overheating. This is more sim than I expected, let me put it like that. When I was reading that, okay, this game is coming out on PC and consoles, I was like, okay, this is going to be more on the accessible side. This is pretty extreme. If I turn in now with my right rear, that temperature, I'm going to struggle. There we go. 130, 140 degrees at peak tap. That's a lot of detail. That's interesting. So now I'm understanding a bit more about the philosophy of this game, I believe. I always like to make my own mind up about, look at it now. I'd actually need to cool down the tyres. I can understand now in iRacing things like driving on the grass. So look at that right rear. I've basically cooked it. 134 degrees. Even in a straight line. So I've got to try and cool down those tyres a little bit. I'm quite enjoying this actually. I've done a few things with the Sim Racing Expo that have been well out of my comfort zone. Things like doing the rallying, even racing against Jan Mardenborough in the Creator Cup. But here, like a new one, heavy tyre management. I'm more used to doing fuel management, I would say, than tyre management. Certainly in Gran Turismo, that's not something you really need to do at all. I've done some things like when we modded the game to show the telemetry on stream. We could understand more about what happens, like the tyre temperatures do increase when you spin, but it doesn't seem to affect performance that much. We thought maybe the top drivers were kind of using it, but it doesn't seem to affect performance for most of us. So I think this has a lot of depth to it because of that reliance on the tyre model. I'm going to have one more lap, and it looks like it might be a race or something, and we'll see the AI. So my rear tyres have cooled down now. And I can imagine maybe some of the things I was saying earlier on in this video about the kind of the steering wheel going light and turning in may well have been as a result of just the tyres not being kind of really in the right zone. I can imagine cold tyres and hot tyres in this game not being where you want to be. I mean, that is quite alluring. You can imagine, let's say you're having a battle with someone who you're quite close on pace with. If you think, right, I'm going to manage my tyres so well by the last 2 laps, I'm going to have just a little bit better tyres, and that's when I'm going to make my move. That's quite exciting, I think. They can pull it off. I mean, it's quite hardcore. We know that they're really, I would say, firing shots at iRacing with their daily race, you know, kind of model, no subscription required. Shots fired at a lot of people there, actually. But now I kind of get it. I'm intrigued to see what the race is going to be like. I think this is a legit, oh my days. I think this is a legit addition. This is just good news, I think, for sim racers to have another sim in the stable like this one. I can imagine some races, or I can imagine doing lobby settings where it's like, it's just really hot and tyre management is going to be absolutely key. In terms of the graphics, I'm much more interested in the handling than the graphics. I've got to be honest with you. I mean, look at that right rear tyre now. Look how cooked it is. That's absolutely, that's a screed. I might use a hit. That's insane. I can almost feel the car like not really wanting to drive in a straight line. And again, I'm absolutely obsessed by that tyre information. I've obviously spent a lot of time in working out how to get that UI looking right. We want an ultra wide monitor here. It hasn't put that all the way to the right. I won't be able to see it. It's kept it front and center. So let's see overtime. Okay, I'm going to put my headphones on now, and we're going to see what happens if we go into a race. You can see the ambient temp and track temp as well.